Eskom says stage 2 load shedding will continue today as the power utility battles the low coal reserves and breakdowns at various power stations across the country. Now, the power utility says a number of power generating units are still out of service due to bad maintenance. The utility is also battling to find coal suppliers after their previous contracts ended. Now, Eskom had hoped to have enough generating units functioning to not to have to ration electricity at the start of the week. Well, let's join now for the latest the spokesperson for Eskom, Khulu Phasiwe, who joins us on the line. Khulu, thank you very much for your time this Monday morning. We understand that there will be load shedding today. What stage is this and what can South Africans expect?
Well, yes, we have just received confirmation from the system operator indicating that load shedding stage 2 will be implemented right now at 9 o'clock. This will go on up until 10 o'clock this evening. And the reason for this, as you correctly mentioned, is primarily related to the delays in terms of maintenance that was supposed to have been done on our power system. And some of the units are essentially just breaking down automatically, resulting in the difficulties that we are seeing at the moment.
Well, these difficulties, Khulu, obviously you've got a number of frustrated South Africans here, many complaining about businesses that are suffering due to load shedding. And you're talking about maintenance, delays in maintenance. This surely should not be South Africans' fault for maintenance that is taking place on your infrastructure.
100%. South Africa should not be going through these difficulties that we are dealing with now of load shedding. Eskom, quite frankly, should not be repeating the same mistakes. You'll remember that in 2008 and also in 2014, there were delays in terms of maintenance, but we did catch up sort of around 2014 to about 2016. But now again, because of the financial issues that Eskom is going through at the moment, last year in particular, in 2017, there was a huge backlog of maintenance that was supposed to have been cleared, but we couldn't do it because the company simply is going through a very lean financial spell. And unfortunately, all of these things now are coming back to haunt us. So you're correct. South Africa shouldn't be enduring these problems. And we also, as an economy, are trying to grow our economy by about 5% in terms of the National Development Plan. But all of these things clearly will be frustrated by this load shedding that we are seeing at the moment.
Well, ordinary citizens obviously are bearing the brunt of what's been happening at Eskom. But let's talk about the projections. We're now fully into the festive season now. And I think many people are concerned. You've got some of the small businesses who do not have backup plans to cater for their customers during this load shedding period. And as well as, South Africans are complaining their food is going off in their fridges as well. What projection do we have for the festive season here? Many people are trying to plan ahead.
Load shedding is a big problem, not only for the economy, but for everyone, including the small businesses, as we just mentioned, and people who are depending on electricity, for example, people who are using oxygen cylinders and things like that for their livelihood. And believe it or not, load shedding is also affecting the dead, because over the weekend I got calls from people who run funeral parlors saying that they are now stuck in a situation where they need to keep the bodies within a particular temperature, and now there's load shedding. Clearly, something has to be done there. And Eskom, through management and the board, they have set aside 11.5 billion rand over the next 12 months to address the backlogs in terms of maintenance.
So we are expecting the situation to worsen during the festive season, because you're also talking about this load shedding extending well into the new year.
Well, generally what happens in December, especially that week of December 16, is that we have many companies that are shutting down for the holiday period. When that happens, it helps us in terms of reducing the pressure on the system, and we are likely to go through the holiday period without any difficulties. But I have to qualify that statement, though, by saying that although we're expecting the reduction on the pressure on the power system, the problem is if we are going to have any new breakdowns, clearly then that will compromise our ability to produce electricity. But the projection is that things will sort of temper down a bit from the 16th of December until the second week of January. But I suppose we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
But you might have a situation, Khulu, where they might temper down in certain parts of the country as most people go on holiday, but you will have areas as well that you will see an influx of tourists where clearly you will have, for example, a bed and breakfasts and hotels that might be affected, your smaller B&Bs that might not have the capacity to get some other forms of power generation that might be affected by this. This might even in the long run affect issues relating to tourism. While you might have in Gauteng people move from here to the coastal areas, you're going to get an influx of people in other parts of the country.
No, but remember, the load shedding when it happens is controlled from Eskom's national control. So in other words, we cannot have it in one province and not the other. So when we do not have load shedding, then clearly everyone else will be treated the same. So the difficulty, though, is that some municipalities are taking advantage of this load shedding by not reporting the faults that happen at their distribution levels. And then people think that it's load shedding. But clearly from Eskom side, our responsibility is to make sure that there's no load shedding so that when there are problems like this ones where people are not maintaining their own network, then clearly they should be exposed. But from our side, as far as December is concerned, our projections so far are that we should be going through that week of December 16 until the second week of January without any difficulty.
Khulu Phasiwe, the spokesperson of Eskom, talking to us about the continuous load shedding that we're seeing. Many South Africans, of course, frustrated by continuous load shedding. Some of the businesses also expressing their concerns about when this load shedding will stop. Thank you very much for your time. The spokesperson of Eskom, Khulu Phasiwe.